Welcome, and thank you for joining me for this random gaming news where we're going to take a look at the microtransactions that have been added to Dead or Alive 6, why GDC was actually postponed this year, and what inspired the new Batman suit for the most recent movie. Make sure you guys are checking out the links in the description for all that social media stuff, subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on that bell icon, and let's go ahead and start the show. First up here, let's go over some of that Dead or Alive 6 news that's been happening, because they seem to be adding a new form of microtransactions into the game, and you would think that this isn't something that should be necessarily newsworthy, but what is newsworthy is how they're actually going about doing it. So in most of the Dead or Alive game for Dead or Alive 6, you can't really purchase any of the items separately for like certain dollar amounts or anything along those lines. You either have to get them in the season passes or in costume packs, so that leaves a lot of people getting certain things that they necessarily don't want. And that's where these premium tickets come in handy, because each premium ticket is worth $1 and you can get from 2 to 50 tickets from purchasing them. And not only that, once you have the premium tickets, you can buy the in-game items there with it. Some of the costume packs costing 4 to 5 tickets, while hair color and certain things like that costing 1 ticket. But you would think that once you purchase these items that you would get to then go back to them after you've kind of purchased them there. But no, this isn't the case, because after you purchase, say a blonde hair color and want to go brunette, you could then have to purchase the brunette hair color, and then if you want to go back to blonde, you would then have to purchase that again. So that's kind of renting the hair color versus actually, allowing you to purchase the item and put it on whenever you want, and it's more of a cosmetic item, so it's not even something that really affects the gameplay, and it's not a whole lot to make something like that, because you're just changing the actual hair color, so it is not costing, the makers of the game to actually, put a lot of effort or cost into something like this. And with each ticket costing $1 and kind of going back in there, if you change your hair color quite often, that could get pretty expensive. So you could see why a lot of fans have taken to Reddit and Twitter to voice their concerns over this new predatory practice that has been put in place to Dead or Alive 6, and I myself don't really play those kind of fighting games anymore because of these kind of things that happen. I don't really want to be nickeled and dimed whenever I am playing a fighter game. I want to go in, play the fighting game, get good game mechanics, and get good graphics and that kind of thing with it. I'm kind of like Mortal Kombat 11. Even though they do have certain, microtransactions and that kind of thing in there, they have season passes and all that kind of other things, I really feel like they do it a lot in the consumer favor rather than just adding things in there to nickel and dime the customer. I know there are some things, I'm not saying that they're perfect, but what I am saying is that it's something that we should definitely keep an eye out for, because if this is the kind of thing that this kind of smaller, company is doing with a bigger title like Dead or Alive, it'd be interesting to see what other companies might do with this kind of thing if they were to get it in their hands, like Activision or Blizzard. Let's just take a quick second and talk about what's going on with GDC, because it does look like they are going to be postponing their gamer development conference this year due to the coronavirus and, just it being on San Francisco, them being in a state of emergency over there in California due to certain travel restrictions actually being placed on the state in certain areas of the state, and San Francisco being one of those areas. So GDC actually did put out a statement explaining, after close consultation with our partners in the game development industry and our community around the world, we made the difficult decision to postpone the Gamer Development Conference this March. Having spent the past year preparing for the show with our advisory board speakers, exhibitors, and event partners, we are genuinely upset and disappointed not to be able to host you at this time. We want to thank all our customers and partners for their support, open discussion, and encouragement. As everyone has been reminding us, great things happen when the community comes together and connects at GDC. For this reason, we fully intend to host the GDC event later in the summer. We are working with our partners to finalize the details and will share more information about our plans in the coming weeks. For more information, please visit our frequently asked questions page. Now, it's one of those things that I'm fully for this. I understand there is an epidemic right now happening around the world where a lot of people are actually getting sick because of the coronavirus, and it's not one of those things that I really feel like people should be risking their lives just to go to a video game conference. If it's one of those things that we can hold off a little bit later in the year, then I think it's one of those things that we should actually hold off for a little later in the year to see how that actually all plays out, because I just, like I said, I don't feel like we should just be risking our lives just to go out there and catch a communicable disease that has been very contagious and taking out thousands of people. So it's one of those things that I know a lot of people are going to be upset that GDC is not happening this year, but I am happy that they're taking their employers and partners and consumers' actual well-being into thought rather than just hosting the show and seeing what happens. but it's one of those things that I'd be interesting to see what happens from this, because now that it's going to be in late summer, we have E3, we're probably going to have some directs and a couple of other like Tokyo Game Show and that kind of stuff happening around that time. So summer is looking more and more packed the way that they have this, and with Sony not going to this event and a few other big people not going, it'd be interesting to see how E3 is going to be playing out this year. They did put out their own statement on the matter, and it's one of those things that if you want to check out those links in the description to kind of go over that. And there's not really a whole lot more to tell about this story as of yet. When more information comes out, you can bet your bottom dollar I'll be telling you about it. Lastly here, let's talk about that Robert Pattinson Batsuit, because we got a little bit more information about it, because a couple of weeks ago we got our first look at it where the symbol on its chest was actually made of the gun that killed Martha and Tom Wayne, but now we got some more information that the suit itself might be inspired by the Arkham games, which, in the Arkham games you get this nice shiny bat suit at the beginning of the game, then it's looking more war-torn by the end of the game with a lot more modifications added to it and the cape's all ripped up and whatnot, which they seem to be going that same route inside the movie, where we're going to get this nice shiny suit at the beginning that looks like it could add, use a few modifications to it. Then they get those modifications, but it looks more war-torn with a, torn up cape and everything, and it just kind of seems like they're touching more on something that's coming from the games, but more of like the first year style of Batman, where he didn't really know, how to service his cape or what exactly was going to be doing for everything and what the suit was going to protect and all that kind of bad stuff. And he was just more of a great detective, and I would be perfectly okay if they focus more on the detective aspect of things versus going into him just being a badass martial artist, because that's something that we haven't really seen, but the comic books touch on all the time, that there is an inner monologue for Batman. So it'd be interesting to see if they're going to do anything like that for this new Batman movie, but we'll have to wait and see when it comes out next year in the summer of 2021. Well, that's our video for today. If you guys did like the video, go ahead and hit the like button. Let me know that you guys did. Leave your thoughts down in the comments below. Let me know what you thought about anything in today's video. I'd love to have a conversation with you. Please make sure to check out the links in the description for all those social media links, as I did create a new Facebook page specifically for the channel to branch out a little bit more, because it's going to be focused more on kind of nerd news rather than just gaming news. So go ahead and check that out, link in the description, and be sure to share this video, because that does help out the channel a lot. The more people we can get to the channel, the more bigger we can get it and the better it's going to be. Subscribe if you haven't already with that bell icon turned on to be notified of when I make my next video. And as always, I have been Tasty. This has been Random Gaming News, and have a wonderful fucking gaming night.